Hey artists, we're going to go through a tutorial on painting our personalized door hanger. So you got your instruction sheet, and this is sort of what it's going to look like. And at the back of that, you have the instructions for the glue I sent y'all. Read through this before you use it, just to familiarize yourself with all the aspects of the glue. I also have a little thing of water. We're going to dip our sponge into water. These are the glues you got. So 2 tubes of E6000 and a glue, a super glue. A 3-inch paintbrush, and then the 3 colors we're using are brown, black, and white. You received two strips of greenery, your burlap, and the checkers. And then I have this to mix my paint on. You guys are going to use the inside of your box. And then I also have 3 cans of paint to weight down my sign, but you can use anything that is weighted. Books, or your paint's going to dry really quick, so don't worry, your books aren't going to get messed up. Books, or water bottles, or anything like that, just to add a little bit of weight on top while your glue sets. So we'll go ahead and get started. The first thing we're going to do is I'm going to do the bow, just in case. I think that might be the main thing that you guys have questions on. So I'm going to go ahead and do the bow. So the way that you received it is kind of how you want to put it together to make your bow. So go ahead and just lay down your checkered ribbon, and then your burlap ribbon on top of that. You're going to fold it with a little bit of overlap, and fold your wired ribbon again with a little bit of overlap. Make sure they kind of fit in with each other. You want to lay down your twine that's not tied together underneath that, and then your 2 strips of your greenery are just going to go like so. I'm going to kind of like force them together, and you can play with this a little bit if you want it to be shorter or longer. You want the 2 ends to kind of hang downwards, so they're going to drape the sides of your sign. And you can play with all of the greenery when you're done to make sure the leaves are facing the right way, and it's, it's wired, so you can mess with it once you flip it over to really make sure you've got the right look that you want. But then you're just going to kind of bunch this together around the twine. Make sure it's flat. Okay. And go ahead and give it one tie, and then we're going to flip it over and work from the front so we can kind of see what we're doing. Pull it pretty taut. Okay, and then we're just going to start fluffing it out. And I've said this before, I can sit and play with bows for a really long time trying to get them just perfect. So I'll try to save that for when the video's done, just to give you an idea. You kind of want it like that. And then you're going to just twist these around. Again, you can do it as many times as you'd like. But the one thing that you want to make sure and do is affix your, the twine that you're going to hang onto your sign. You're going to want to tie that into there. So just lay that over, tie it again, and tighten everything once you're done. Just give that another knot, and that's going to be the front of your sign, or the bow for the front of your sign. So we're going to set that aside, and we will mess with that more once our sign is complete. So the first thing you're going to do is you need your 3-inch brush. Glue aside, and just your backer, and that is going to be white, so you need your white paint, and shake it up a little bit. Okay, and just work in sections, going down. You always want to work from the inside out on your edges, as opposed to, you never want to scrape your brush along the edge like that. So work from the inside out. Just making sure not to drag your brush, like I said, over that edge. It's in your the back of your board is going to get gloppy paint. I'm going to put that upside down. Okay, move down to the next section. If you like more of this whitewash look, we're going to stain the ring, the accent ring circle that came with your board. We're going to do a faux stain with the brown. So you'll kind of see what I mean. But if you like to do a whitewash, more of a whitewash look, where this white is a little bit less opaque, just wet your brush first. And your paint will spread a little bit thinner and you'll have more transparency to it and see that wood grain behind your board. Okay, almost done here. And I'm gonna go at the, once I have my brown out, I'm actually going to kind of distress this white a little bit with the brown. So I think I say this in every single video, but I'm not super concerned with a perfect coverage with no brush strokes or anything. That's just the look that I prefer. I think it gives it a more natural look, being able to kind of see the wood grain through it. If that's not your thing, if you prefer more of a crisp look, just don't do that extra distressing. And probably do a second coat of your white, and that'll really give you an opaque, crisp, clean white background. And just for reference, I used the same bottle of white just a minute ago to paint another backboard, so you have plenty in your bottle to do 2 full coats. Okay, so that's that for that. Okay, and we're already practically dry on this board, so that's what I mean when I say this paint is going to dry fast. So I'm going to set this aside until I've got our brown ready. So now we're going to do this part, and like I said, I'm going to just use, this is just a piece of parchment paper that I'm going to use to squirt out my paint and mix it into my sponge. So what we're going to do is dip your, this is just a makeup sponge, dip it in, get it pretty saturated, really work that water in, squeeze out. Okay, I'm not squeezing every last drop out. I want that moisture in my brown. So then we're going to squirt out some brown. Let me mix this up real quick. Okay, squirt some brown out. All right. And just dip your wedge in and just really work that brown into your makeup wedge. You want it not gloppy at all. And this is going to go a long ways. So, and then instead of the normal dabbing motion that we do, we're going to do these quick strokes and get a nice brown finish. If you wanted a darker stain, I think it would look beautiful. I do like this color because I like the contrast. Our letter is going to be black, so I wanted not a super dark brown for the contrast, but if you wanted it a little bit darker than this is coming out, you just want to mix a little bit of black from your kit into your brown. So I'm going to do one more. I got about 2/3 of the way done with that. Do one more, really work it in, make sure it's not gloppy. We want that mixture of water and paint. Okay, and just start back where it kind of started to fade out. Okay. I'm normally set up on our counter inside. That's obviously stable, but my littlest My youngest is taking a nap, so I decided to come outside, so I apologize if the video is a little bit shaky. It's attached to just a little portable table that I'm using. I do want to mention, if your piece is like kind of bowing a little bit, that is totally normal, especially the wood is coming from Houston where it's super humid. If it's going to a drier climate, it'll reverse back. It'll adjust to your area. Don't worry about that. That's why we're going to weight it down once we glue it. So that's all done. Let's see, go through, just make sure I've got even coats everywhere. I like it. Okay, so since I'm using the brown right now, I'm going to go ahead and bring back my backer and squirt out a little bit more brown. And so I'm going to dip my brush now into the water, and I'm going to get that mixture of white paint and brown paint. Don't want that much white, but you can always, fix it. I don't want a lot in my brush, so okay. So now I'm just going to start from the edges and just do some swipes long ways. Kind of. Some spots more so than others. Okay, and that's it. That's all there is to that. I do kind of sometimes like to do a little bit extra right around the edges, just to give it a little bit of definition. So in this instance, I am saying to drag your brush over the edge, though, from the outside in, and that's going to give you just a little bit of definition around the edge of your piece. You don't have to do the entire thing. You could also do this with black if you would prefer. The other thing that I would mention is, if you do it with brown and you hate it, you have another side to this. If you do it with black and you hate it, do the other on the other side. You can also just paint right back over it with white if you don't like it, or if you wanted to lighten it up in some areas, just go back into that white. If I wanted this lighter, I would just go right back over that with my white, and hopefully you can see that it's lessening the brown. So I mean, I could sit here and do this all day long, just seeing what happens, and I would still love it at the end. So whenever you feel done, you're done. Okay. And lastly, we're going to do this black, and you're going to use your same wedge. Oops. Should have taken the plastic off before I started. Sorry, guys. Okay, so squirt out some of your black paint, and for this you are going to use your dab, 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 so you don't want a lot of excess paint, and just dab all over your piece. It is still a little bit damp, but with black you're not, unless you really dampen it, you're not going to get that whitewashed effect. You have to really water down black for it to really whitewash. So and we're just going to dip and dab, dab, dab until we are completely covered. Sorry, I'm trying not to jiggle the table too much. I would say this is probably one of our fastest projects we've ever done. I do have a client that uses this design, and she actually uses Tiki Tack, if you can believe that, for different things for the center. So she's had me cut out hi and hello, and just some different, I'm trying to think what else she has. And so anyway, she will affix those whatever she feels like and make it sort of an interchangeable sign. So as versatile as this one already is, she's found a way to make it even more so, and I love that creativity. Okay, so that is all done. All right, and we're like almost done, you guys. All right, so clear out your space so you have a good working area. And I'm debating whether I want to add any black to the background. I think I'm going to leave it as is. Flyway. All right, so back to our bow. You have this hanging in the back. So what you're going to do is just put it through each side. Pull it around, loop the knot through here, and just tie it into a knot in the back. So 1 and 2. Keep that second one kind of loose because you're going to want to knot it up towards that knot up at the top. Okay, so all your knots work their way that way. Pull it through like this. Oh, I did it. Sorry, I forgot to attach this one. And I'm going to do this one more time like this because I like that bolder look of the twine. So I'll loop it through one more time. Okay, and then I want to tie this. So really get that nice and tight. I don't, twine is not very slick, so I'm not super concerned with this knot coming undone. But if you wanted to add a small dot of your glue to that, you certainly could. Just make sure that you have it positioned, just in case you have it positioned on your back hanger the way that you'd like. So I'm going to do it just like that, and this is going to help me place the rest of my pieces, right? Okay, so I want mine kind of like that. And I put this on. Center it that way. And let me find my circles here. Make sure that you are still have an idea of, because your bow's going to be on the side, so make sure you kind of still have an idea of where your holes are, so that when you hang it, it's going to hang centered. All right, so I think that's what I'm going to go with. So you have, again, these 2 things of glue, and it's more than you need, so take off the black lid of one of your E6000s, flip it around, penetrate that, puncture that tip. Okay, set that off to the side, flip over your piece, and just begin on your tips, just a real thin line, real thin piece. You don't want it to squeeze out, so I like to do dots in the wider parts and then kind of just a thin strip on the edges. I'm going to use my wedge. I got a little bit on the side, so I'm going to use my wedge and just get that off. So you have some work time with this glue. Super glue is not quite as forgiving, but we are using our super glue for a glue clamp. So with your super glue, you're going to take off the green little ring, and then when you put this back on, it's going to puncture it automatically, so you don't have to do anything. Just when you screw that lid back on, it's going to puncture it for you. So then to remove the green once you have it back on, and just do a few little dabs here and there on here. And like I said, this is what we call a glue clamp. So the super glue is going to hold it together while your E6000 dries. Okay, that's enough for that. It's probably more than enough, actually. All right, so flip this back over, line up with my holes, and press that down. Okay, I'm just going to hold this down with my hands for just a second. Make sure each of my edges is down. Okay, that's pretty secure already. So I flip over my brown, do the same, and then I'm going to use my paint cans. You'll use whatever it is that you, oops, let me see. I'm going to use the rest of my other E6000 tube. I might not even have to open the second one. But whatever you got for weights, once you set everything with your glue, just, now I have this at an angle, so it gives me a little bit thicker strip. I don't want to glue my leaves, so be careful. You can also do dots. I like dots, they squeeze out and cover more space, and they're gonna fill in better, like any little gaps, or they'll spread out a little more, just to a little bit better grab. I do kind of a mixture of those, and I think that is more than good. So I'm gonna go back through, use the rest of my bottle of super glue, just kind of make sure I hit my 4 corners, and then whatever else looks like it could use some. Okay. Make sure and put your cap back on your super glue. You don't have to screw it all the way on, but just put it back on, because at least affix it on, because I don't want you to get it glued to your counter or wherever you have it setting. Okay, so my center is there. Here we go. Move this down a little bit. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Now, if you just did what I did and got glue in a few places, just dip your finger in your water and kind of try to get that up. You can use a wet wipe. I'm using my finger. You may not want to, that's okay. You could also use your paintbrush, a rag, just a paper towel, just about anything. Okay, so I'm going to weight down my pieces, just like so, and like so. And then when you're ready to hang it, you're just going to pull this to the front and hang it on your door, or pull your twine to the front, and you can hang it just from right up here. All right, happy painting, guys.